so many fans and things going. I've got rain pouring down. Well, it was. I don't know if it still is. Rain pouring down. Did I get my glasses straight today? I think I might have. Look at that. So well, they're still a bit crooked. I gave up on the screws. So I used to have little screws in here like everyone else does, and I just found that they just kept loosening up. They were just frustrating. So I took the screws out and I just put in wire and then wrapped the wire around the glasses, probably defeating the fashionable reason that Jane made me buy these glasses, but much more comfortable in my mind. Beautiful rot. Hello, beautiful rot. I say, what a beautiful rot. Zagoreni from sunny Croatia. Oh, at least it's sunny there. Petra, Lloyd, Kameraden, Elsa. Elsa's back. Hey, Elsa. Petra, Angels Games, Kenny Ken, Brick Tech Fan, Darren Hill, Ivo. Miss Soundtrack Fan. Well, that'll do it. I mean, I do like soundtracks. Jay Parrish, Warmy So Soup, Bass, not Bass. Ari Burr. Although Baz might join us today. Who knows? He's actually... he's home on a combination. Whoa! Look at that hair. He's home on a combination mental health and physical damage day because he had like some major wipeout yesterday. So he's got like I don't know how he managed to do it. It's like one side's all grazes, and the other side is all bruises basically. So I don't know what exactly he landed and then slid. I don't know what the hell he did, but anyways, he was having a bad day yesterday, and I just felt like, you know what? It's a crappy day outside. It's pouring rain. He's had a bad day. He's feeling a bit achy, and I thought, you know what? There's nothing I would like more at that age than to hang at home and watch a little interwebs and catch up on a little work and just like take it easy. So that's what we did today. He says he feels better today, a little bit better today. I think he feels a lot better because he's not actually at school. It's probably a big part of it. I gotta say, I'm really impressed with these. So the glasses, I don't know if you can actually see them or not, but I can't now because I've taken them off. But so they used to have the screws in here, and I've just put just a nice stiff cabling in and wrapped it around on either side because it holds them firmer, and I can sort of position them a little better. So I just got rid of the screws. The screws just kept loosening up and falling out, and this way they're wired in. But as I just said, I don't think that aesthetically that was the reason why Jane had me buy these glasses. I think she felt that these were nicer glasses, perhaps slightly less suave and cool now that they have two paper clips wrapped around either side. So good morning, Rebel Time Lady. What is morning? Timey-wimey. Filming's good. I filmed on Monday. And there was, they do all these COVID tests, right? So apparently, I guess, and what the idea being is you do the COVID test before someone gets to set so that there's never any worry about there being spread on set. And, so there's all of that going on all the time. And every so often there's like a, oh my God, we got a positive test. And of course it doesn't mean anything because it never gets to set. But you always are like, oh God, who is it? Are they okay? And it almost invariably it ends up being just a negative. It's a false positive almost every time because everyone is being so freaking careful. In the film industry, outside of the film industry, when I go walk the dog, it's like, hello, Toronto. There's actually a pandemic going on. You wouldn't know. And if you talk to the government, of course, same issue. Like the vaccinations are so freaking slow here. They're going to kill people. This is going to kill people. At this point, I don't see any other way around it where we have not vaccinated. We've not got on the ball on this stuff. They haven't sourced the vaccinations. They haven't got them here fast enough. They haven't sorted out the logistics of getting them to people. And people are going to die because of it. And that is squarely on the freaking government's shoulders. And I don't give a crap whether it's the federal government or the provincial government. Everyone keeps back and forth on this. Well, you can't blame them, whatever. You know what? The reality is we pay massive amounts of taxes so that our government can handle exactly this kind of thing. If you're going to run around the world touting how amazing our healthcare system and all this crap, and then see us at number 40-something at the bottom of the freaking list on vaccinations, that is squarely on your shoulders, politicians, right? That is not on, that is not on our healthcare workers. That is not on our doctors. That is not that on our healthcare system. That is on the idiots who are running our country. So I a bunch of scumbags in my book right now, because I can't believe it's taken this long for them to get off their butts and get this stuff sorted out, because this should have been first priority. You know, it should have been first priority from the beginning, and all they've done is sit around like politicians talking and making wonderful press releases about their intended goals and stuff, and then they haven't even finished vaccinating the 80-year-olds yet here. Literally, there are 80-year-olds. There are people working in healthcare. There are people working in long-term care places here that haven't been vaccinated. There are paramedics who haven't been vaccinated. And yet there's all these like big sunny stories about how, oh, we're going to get everybody done. It's great. And it's like, I've come up against this a lot in the healthcare system in Canada, where there's a lot of this like, well, of course we cover it. Not entirely, but we cover it. You just have no access to it. So, so we'll pay for it if it existed, but it doesn't. So there's a lot of this sort of politicking around medicine, and I see it everywhere. Obviously, we're all up against this stuff. But when you see it so clearly not working here, and judging by these new variants, apparently they're moving down the age groups. Like right now, what is the big risk group now is between, what is it 40, like I can't remember what it is now. It's between, it's like 40 and something. That's the biggest numbers of cases right now, and hospitalized cases too. I mean, it's getting. Sorry, I should be very careful in the numbers here. I don't know that those are the most numbers, but I know that those numbers are increasing in a way that we had not seen before. So that worries me. And we're over 2,000 cases again today, which we haven't been for a while. So I don't know. Sorry. You know what? I don't want to be the bearer of misinformation here. I am frustrated because I mean, look, again, my dad's got it done. My dad's been vaccinated. I believe my stepmom is now being done. But whether she's actually got it yet or whether she's booked for it, I'm not sure. But one dose, it's one of the two doses, and the second dose isn't until July sometime. Like it's supposed to happen much faster than that. But so they can say that they vaccinated all these 80-year-olds and stuff. The reality is they've got the first dose out, and they haven't even done that for everybody. So that's driving me crazy. Okay. 4 million people in Croatia, and we now again have near 2,000 per day. So yeah, I don't know what the numbers are here, but it's more than 4 million. I'll tell you that. So we are. I mean, so it sounds like we're doing a little better than Croatia there. But I'm sorry, Zagarini. That's bad. Politicians talk. I mean, this is the problem. Is I don't feel like we have politicians who know how to deal with emergencies. I think Biden seems to be doing a good job. He seems to have jumped into it. He's been in there before, I feel. So I feel like, despite any of your feelings politically about him, I do feel like he's someone who at least knows how to sort of operate in an emergency situation. I don't think Trudeau does. I don't get the sense that Trudeau has a sense of it. He's too busy making these sort of like placating videos and stuff. I don't, and I feel like, we've got one. I can't remember the Ford, wherever the Ford is. We've got here is he seems human, at least in that he seems as panicked as everyone else. But I just despair. I don't understand how Canada, which is being held as this sort of bastion of this exemplar, government-run healthcare, can't get us vaccinated. I mean, I listened to the Shoppers Drug Mart pharmacist the other day talking to a patient, a client or whatever, and just saying like, just give us the vaccinations and we'll do it. We're all set up for it. We give vaccinations all the time. We are all kitted out for it. Let's go. Come on. What's going on? What's taking so long? Anyways, David, come to Australia. We basically are finished with it. Oh, I know, Stratus. I know that. Stratus strong. Again, because you have a system that's obviously working better. You also have, well, no, I was going to say, because our geography is just the same. You have clusters of people in cities, but you've got a massive area, which I know can be difficult from a logistics standpoint. But anyways, I asked how you are today, but you seem frustrated. Still waiting for my age group to come up here. Really? Okay, I got the AstraZeneca vaccine this week. Feel very grateful. Hope you get it soon. Thank you, Claire Ann. I will not. I will not be getting my vaccine. The government here is saying that vaccines won't happen for my age group probably until around September. So we got to get through the summer. Problem is we voted for good weather politicians, and now that's a really good way of putting it. Still me. Good weather politicians, fair weather politicians. That's it. Like fair weather friends. We're only there when things are going well. So what have I got to tell you? I got a few things to tell you. Let me cheer up a bit. So I don't mean to be frustrated. I do mean to be frustrated. I am frustrated. I find it very, very irritating that this stuff can't be handled better. Do I know how to do it better? No, I've got no solutions. But I'm very good at complaining, as I always am. But let's talk about something a little more pleasant. I mean, the fact of the matter is my father has his first jab, and my stepmom, whether she has it or not, is on the books for it. So that's a good thing. But I just worry there's a tendency with Canadians to go like, well, I mean, so it's not the best system in the world, but at least, if you have a terrible accident, there's somebody there to look out for you. And you're like, yeah, that's great. If you have an ongoing condition, you're effed. I mean, like, if you've got anything that needs special attention, forget it, because you're triaged on everything. I mean, the reality is that obviously when you have a system where you have to look after everybody, you've got to prioritize who's the sickest, and people get sick and jump the queue. They don't jump the queue because it's not jumping the queue. They're sicker, so they get triaged into priority. And so people with things that just need to get dealt with get dropped down the line until they become an emergency, and then they get flipped up in front. It just doesn't lead to good healthcare. I think England's obviously got it sorted on this. Australia, by the sound of it, has as well. Australia, to be fair, Australia and New Zealand, same thing. Very strict rules on the quarantine as well. We have this sort of like not American version of it, and that we're not quite as lax as a lot of America was about this stuff. But I still think there's a me first quality to North. We're raised with this sort of me first. I want to live my dream, and I want the job of my dreams. I want to do what I like, not what I have to. And I think there's a tendency in life, and I apply that to myself as well, obviously. And I think that is beginning to show. That shows the damage of a virus like this when it comes to people who are only concerned about themselves and not concerned about the population in general. Whereas a country like China that has, terrifyingly control over everything, obviously they can crush this thing very quickly. But because we value our freedoms, including the freedoms to be stupid, including the freedoms to be a selfish idiot who doesn't wear a mask or want to walk into stores without masks on and then complain that you have to wear one. And I mean, I see this stuff happening even in my little neighborhood here. I see it, and I don't know, the homeless people. I mean, these poor people who are living on the street. You want to try to explain to them about wearing masks. They finally get $2 so they can go and buy a freaking hamburger, and then and they're in A&W and freaking out everybody. And I mean, we need a system that looks after people. Like, if nothing comes out of this pandemic, it is this for me, that we've got to look after people better. Like, forget even that it's not even about being nice. Screw nice. I'm not nice. I'm entirely selfish. From an entirely selfish point, look after everybody. Then they don't get really sick and they're not a huge drain on the system. If they've got crazy mental health issues, let's look after them instead of just leaving them on the street. You know what I mean? Like, let's figure out what the deal is there. I love this. I hate the term defund the police, but I like the idea that we're bringing in people who are experts in dealing with mental health instead of just immediately throwing these poor people who are trained to serve and protect and to, with guns and force and stuff, to enforce the laws. It's not their job to try to. It's not their job or their expertise to deal with people with mental health issues. I'm not saying that we should send social workers to violent situations, but I do think that they should be involved if there's a chance that they can talk people down, or at least explain the situation to either the police or to the people who are under the whatever situation they're in. So it just makes sense. Like, you go, oh my God, I've got a terrible electrical problem. Quick, send the plumber first. And then they can start dealing with it until the electrician gets here. it just doesn't make sense. Or train the police. Hey, there's a crazy idea. Let's train the police with some mental health stuff as well. Oh man, I'm going off today. Let's talk about some fun stuff. So fun stuff was yesterday. I hopped onto what do we use, like Google Hangouts, which I haven't used in forever, and was strangely a lot more complicated than Zoom. And we were discussing actually this was so Fred is the fellow who runs quadstick.com. Just a great guy, like just a freaking amazing guy. And I've talked to him a few times. I guess originally probably about Upgrade Required when that was my project. Some interesting news on that too, actually. Whereas there's Jane's production company. I guess it's our production company. I call it Jane's production because Jane does all the work. It looks like we may be bringing a director in to come in and work on that, which would be just amazing. Because I don't have, my frustration with the whole thing was I found myself spending more time trying to make a film than I was doing the stuff which I like doing, which is all working with the assistive technology and talking to people who use it and talking to people who create it. And I felt like I was missing out on that. So it's kind of nice to have someone come in and maybe run with it for a bit. We'll see. I mean, who knows what'll come of it. But again, I've said, look, keep me out of it. I'm sticking to this. I want to do this. I don't want to be dealing with funding and filmmaking and all that kind of stuff right now. So anyway, so that was the last time I talked to Fred at quadstick.com was probably a couple of years ago, maybe a year ago. No, a good year ago anyways. And he makes these really cool contraptions that allow you to control computers or game consoles with your mouth. So if you have limited movement, you can move the mouse using your lips, and you've got like also a sip and puff. He's got these little systems where you've got different sip and puff tubes, and you can control by grabbing one and then the other. And amazing system, really, really smart. And so Gimpy God and I were talking to him. Oh, right. So we were talking about maybe possibly getting a couple of them and goofing around with them. And so I said, well, let's get Gimpy God in. So we brought Lance in to talk to Fred about it. And so what we've decided to do is we're going to get two of them. And Fred has been very kind and offered us a deal that is fantastic, shall we say. So we are going to get two of these systems, and then Gimpy G and I are going to play games. I'm going to learn how to use this thing. And I asked Gimpy G about it. I said, like, is this like walking around with like a cane for the blind? I mean, is this being disrespectful? Is this being, but he seems to think it'd be fun and that it'll perhaps raise some awareness as to what's involved in this stuff. And also I suddenly had this epiphany, where I was like, the only reason why we assume that the way to use a computer is a keyboard and a mouse, that hasn't changed in years. Like what we've just assumed that that's the way you use a computer. What's to stop people from just using their mouth for that? Now admittedly I use my mouth to talk a lot, so it may get in the way. They asked like what size we'd need, and both Gimpy G and I at the same time were like, he wants the large one, because we both have kind of big mouths. So the idea is to be able to set this thing up and play games, together, apart, whatever. But get used to a controller that is not necessarily traditional fare for someone without disabilities like me. So, but it really made me think, like, why do we just assume that these are the ways? Because our system is designed around people who can move their hands and their and have the dexterity of a keyboard. We've designed things to work that way. And the keyboard, as everyone knows, is not designed for efficiency. It's designed actually to slow you down so that the old typewriters could work. So it's actually not terribly good for us in any way anyways. So I just wondered if perhaps this might even alleviate some, it'll probably cause some of this as well. Will it alleviate some of the carpal tunnel and all the aging crap that one deals with when one reaches the age of 21 like I am. So look up a gamer named Rocky No Hands. That's it. We were talking about F8L. Yeah. We're talking about him. And he's freaking amazing. Like, he's better than I am at any game using that thing. So, yes, I will go check him out. The future is lickable keyboards. Well, Opal Mist, I mean, what's funny is, I mean, you are sort of like, you're doing this a lot with the stuff. But, again, who's to say that isn't... What if that's a better way of using your keyboard? What if this is a better system entirely? So there were for a while there, they were playing with different, not just QWERTY keyboards. There were different types of keyboards. I got the Doctor Who mug again. I need a bigger Doctor Who mug. It's too small. I get through this way too fast. I need like a really big Doctor Who mug. I have a TARDIS one. Do I have it somewhere? I have it in the other room, I think. I have a really nice big TARDIS one, but it's square. And so what happens is you pour your coffee and it just all comes out the sides. It's not terribly well designed. I mean, it's designed very well for traveling in time and space. It's not so good for traveling in coffee to your mouth. So voice commands, yeah. Who is Doctor Who? Elsa. Are you joking with me? You don't know who Doctor Who is? Let's somebody educate poor Elsa on this. Doctor Who was a show that I watched as a kid. That continues today, but it's a different show now than it was when I was a kid. It was much more grumpy and old fashioned, like me. But it's about a time traveler, a guy who travels through space and time. And in my day, he got trapped on Earth a lot because I think it was cheaper to shoot that way. But anyways, she has to be. Are you laughing? Oh, 13. Well, Elsa, it's a BBC show. So you can check that out. Yeah, you should. I mean, check it out if you want. It may be your thing. It may not be. If you like Stargate, you probably are gonna like. I would think you'd like Doctor Who as well. DNW. These chats are costing you a fortune. I had one of those Doctor Who mugs till it broke. You're supposed to drink it at an angle from the corner. Yeah, no matter what I did, it was difficult to use, shall we say. Doctor Who before 2005, the old ones from 2000, and now the new ones. That's sort of, it's kind of sad when those, I noticed like as you scroll through when I scroll through my birth date now, you have to scroll down quite far. But wait a sec, 13, Elsa, you should join us for Tech Bandits sometime. We're always looking we need more women tech bandits, for God's sake. Elsa, go check out the techbandits.com and see if you want to be a part of that, because as I say, for some reason, nerds, I guess old white nerds like me, old white male nerds like me, tends to accumulate more maybe young white nerds, but male nerds. But it'd be really nice to get some more women involved in this too, because I know that the women can be much smarter and much geekier than we can. So yeah, if you feel like doing some science, technology, engineering, arts, and math stuff, and just geeking out with a bunch of other kids around your age, then let me know, because that is our Tech Bandits. You're a nerd too. Well, so there you go, Elsa. You'll fit perfectly in there. Yeah, check it out. Actually, Elsa, I've got an email address that you have to check in with your parents though. Make sure your parents email as well, because I just don't like to do anything. You don't want to be talking to old guys online unless your parents know what's going on. So, and you're welcome. Anyone is welcome to use this email if they want. By the way, it's davidihewlett@gmail.com. And that's sort of my internet-facing email address, and I get to people when I can, but I have to triage that too, because there's too many freaking things going on in there. The Doctor is an idiot in a box. Oh my God, Opal Mist. Just passing through, saving civilizations, and doing a whole lot of running across all of time and space. Oh boy, Opal Mist. Yeah, I was definitely a Tom Baker guy. I don't think I've met any of them. Oh, I might have passed Sylvester McCoy at one point at a convention, possibly in Australia, but that was it. Anyways, yeah, Elsa. So Ethan Nelson is exactly the same as me. You're a nerd, that just not a smart one. That's like me. John Pertwee is great. I love John Pertwee, and his son is just chewing up the scenery on. I love him on Gotham. Tom Baker was one of the best. Sardonic Spirals. Tom Baker was. Well, that's true. It's hard to choose between Pertwee and Baker, but Baker was definitely the one where it really sort of becomes the most important thing in my life. Anyways, going back to quadstick.com. So quadstick.com, you can go check him out and see what they're doing there. But he's just So he was walking us through the process of how these things are made, because of course I'm a nerd and I want to know how everything works. And just really, really interesting to see how assistive technology is created, because it's so custom. Like every single person has different, like Gimpy G has different, has much more limited movement in what he can do, but so the joystick would need to be set up differently, you know, which makes it, I think, very difficult. I can only imagine for families of people who aren't nerds or don't know makers or that kind of stuff, this stuff must be insurmountable. And buying the technology from big manufacturers, it's just crazy expensive, just ridiculously expensive. What Gimpy G and I discovered in our sort of exploration of the tech that's out there is that while this, you know, Head Tracker 2000 or whatever it was that he was using was okay, we felt like we wanted something that was going to bypass, that wasn't going to be software based. I mean, there was obviously a software component to this. These quad sticks are amazing. They're like their own little computers basically, and you flash all the information you want onto these things, and they can be programmed to do just about anything you want. You know, as an external USB device. And so we felt that an external USB device controlling the machine was probably a better approach, because there's no software to deal with. It's not like you don't have to have a game that has been written for using whatever the device is that you've got. You just have your USB device, and then you control your entire Windows system. You control your entire gaming experience in the same way that someone with a mouse and a keyboard would as well. So, video games and anime nerds. Oh, anime is good. Dad! I mean, not Dad. I'm Dad. You're Ironham. How are you, Ironham? How you feeling? How's the hip? So Ironham being my son. Hey, Ironham, we got Elsa here, who is 13, and I was saying that we should see about getting her into Tech Bandits as well, as long as her parents are cool with that. We're always trying to recruit, right, Ironham? We're always trying to bring in new people. Oh, I love anime. Baz is the anime guy. But I've got to say, he's definitely sucked me into it. Although, will somebody tell him to watch Akira with me? He hasn't watched Akira. Of all of them, Akira? Come on, buddy. How many years did it take to record Stargate Atlantis? 5 years. It's 5 years, yeah. You will ask. Oh, good, Elsa. All right, okay, very good. And by the way, Elsa, my son Ironham is 13 as well, so he can give you an idea. He can say like it's really boring, don't do it, or he can say, you know, he'll let you know what the deal is. Akira is one of the few I have on DVD. Yeah, I got it on DVD as well. I also have all of the comic books. You've only seen a little bit of it. Maybe we should force you to do that on maybe your mental health day will require. So this is one of my chambers of shame. This is sort of some of my comic books. So I have in here somewhere is Akira. I have not organized this, by the way. I've just put stuff up here, but I have not actually organized it. Somewhere in this mess there is Akira as well. The original. Yeah, I've got the original Akira, not bound versions, like not the actual comic books, but when they first put the books out, I got all of them. Well, maybe not even first when they first came out. Now they mentioned it. I wasn't that much of a nerd back then, so I don't know. I've never gotten deja vu from these videos until today. Well, it's very similar. Yeah, the Akira graphic novels are fantastic. Sardonyx Bile, they're amazing. Although my favorite, I think one of my favorite is still. See, I have it here. I got it. I usually have it quite. There you go. One of my favorites of all time is Arkham Asylum. I love Arkham Asylum. This is just so beautiful. Like, just gorgeous. It's not even like a trash, like a traditional comic book. It's just to me, it was like when they really became like graphic novels, an art form unto themselves. Another great one by a Canadian, which just seems like the weirdest thing for me, because it's about hockey, is this one, Essex County. Essex County by Jeff Lemire. Jeff Lemire is one of my favorite comic book artists, comic book creators of all time now. I love his style. I love his stories. Like they make you like you can cry in these things. Like you could be reading these things and you can like be bawling your eyes out. He has another great one called Sweet Tooth. Sweet Tooth? I think it's called Sweet Tooth. Which is an amazing series. I think they're going to turn into a TV series and ruin it now. Yeah, I think I think they're doing a TV series of it, and I don't think I can watch it because the comic book was so brilliant. I can't imagine it ever being done. To me, it only works as a comic book. I don't know how it would work as anything else. So, all right, I do have a pretty good collection from nerd to gamer. I cover them all. I'm a dude, and I don't like people touching me. Period. People get too comfy. I don't like people touching me at all. No. Have you read Transmetropolitan? Oh, you mean God? You mean I think I've got it. It's isn't that? Who is that? Who is that? I know that one. Damn it! I know that one. Who wrote that? Was that our Transmetropolitan? Oh, Nausicaa was like I loved the look of it, but I didn't really get into it that much. Alita Battle Angel, I enjoyed that. I hope they make a second movie of that too. Every time I think I got it, the kids are streets ahead. I know. It's so true. It's so true. Randy and Jim the Evo, just trying to catch up. I still have my 2000 AD collection from issue 1 today. Oh, wow. We'll get what games. Nice. Do you have great contact with the Atlantis cast? I mean, not great. I mean, I should, we used to see each other at conventions. That's when we saw each other. But during the pandemic, I went back and forth with Paul McGillion a couple times, and Joe and Rachel and I tweet every so often. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like old friends where you see them again, you're like, oh hey, how you doing? And you just sort of chat. I mean, they're wonderful people. They're always going to be kind of family. Like, oh, I loved Ghost in the Shell. Loved Ghost in the Shell. Appleseed's pretty great too. What was that other one that I really liked? Alchemist, Full Metal Alchemist or something like that. That was kind of fun too. I was saying that the Tech Bandits is the bomb, but I guess the kids don't say these things anymore. No, I don't say that. What would you say now, Baz? Well, Baz would say something completely different about Tech Bandits, I'm sure, but Oh, I'm streaming, buddy.
I know, I'm saying hi.
Oh, you're saying hi. Oh, good. What's that?
It's my 2 favorite books.
Oh, great. Can I do that? Can I look at them? Oh, fantastic. All right, dude. I just warned you because I just didn't want you to come on if you didn't want to be on. Of course you know I'm streaming because you're on the freaking... Yeah, of course. Thanks, buddy. All right, so can I share these? I can show these?
Yeah.
Oh, really? You like this one?
Oh my god, it's one of my favorite mangas.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so I didn't know that. Okay, so Tokyo Ghoul is brilliant. What about Death Note?
Well, I don't have the mangas of Death Note.
Oh, okay, all right. Oh, yeah, we never bought them, did we?
Death Note is amazing.
Okay, so Tokyo Ghoul. Do you want to tell them about it? No?
You read it.
Yeah.
You watched it.
I mean, Tokyo Ghoul is just is extraordinary. It's basically, it's like these almost like super-powered monster vampire type things that feed on humans, and the humans have to battle the super-powered monster vampire type things. Except this guy becomes partially monster super vampire guy and human at the same time, and so he's the first kind of like hybrid, and he's torn between two worlds. He doesn't fit in either, and he has to fight, and yeah. It's a complex book. There you go. It's a good way of putting it. Also, doesn't he go like crazy and become like godlike or something?
Well, that's later on.
That's later on. Don't hold that against him. Yeah. And the other one, which I am kind of thrilled and surprised. I did not know this. The stories of Edgar Allan Poe as anime. And what I love about this, which Baz probably doesn't know, is that when I was a kid, I used to read all of the classics like this in comic book versions. And they were called like the Golden Classics or something. And they were all done, how better to see Edgar Allan Poe than to look at that. Like that's going to get you into stuff. Look at that. So that's really, I gotta look for some more. All right. Vampire Hunter, Blade. Oh yeah, I love that too. Edgar Allan Poe, I mean, it's hard to beat him for horror, isn't it? Who he should read, or who they should do, is I wonder if they've done any God, who was it? Who used to write? He used to write all those. He used to write kids' books, but he also wrote these horrendous horror stories as well. Um, what was his name? Like he wrote The Telltale Heart, or was it Telltale Heart? Edgar Allan Poe. Who wrote The Telltale Heart? Was it Edgar Allan Poe who wrote that? Ronald Dahl. That's right. Ronald Dahl's scary books are freaking creepy as all hell. That's right, Cherry Lions. Anything that gets the kids, don't tell them it's reading. Don't tell them that. So yes, let's go back to Gimpy God Gaming. Right. So we're set up with. We're talking to Fred. Fred's going to set us up. Giving us an amazing, amazing deal, and I don't know what he wants us to tell you or not, but other than the fact that we freaking love him because he's just totally helped us out. We're going to set these things up. We're going to play with them. We're going to talk about assistive tech as well. I want to talk about that. I want the kids to see. I'm wondering even, I should ask him about this because I was wondering about getting him to just send me the parts and I'll 3D print the whatever the shells are and stuff and make it myself if that saves him a bit of time and money because, this guy's making these things himself. There's something like 30 something hundred of these things out there now. And I mean, I hadn't really thought of this, but Gimpy G was saying like, that's over 3,000 people who couldn't game, who are now gaming, or who couldn't use their computer, who are now using their computer. And I was like, oh my God, such a good point. Like I hadn't really, because I'm a total jerk. I also said to them, look, if one of them's ready before the other one, send it to me because I want to get better at it than Gimpy G. Thus, again, proving myself to be the true McKay-like McKay-like person that I am. I did tell him I was joking, by the way. So I'm related to Edgar, so I'm told. Never checked. Don't check DNW because you might find out that you're not. Thank you very, very much for the additional $2. Oh my God, you like keep throwing money every time you make a chat, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Hi, Sweden, says Kenny Ken. Linger, David is here to share with us, but you can't really ask that, my dear. Uh-oh, what happened? Can you be my friend? No, because I'm nobody's friend. I hate everybody. That's why I'm on the interwebs. Have schools gone back to homeschooling? They have not, Tammy. I don't know. Yeah, I'm a bit worried about this. I talked to my doc actually the other day, almost broadcasted by accident, as you know. And he was saying he'd kept his kid back for almost 11 months because he was just like, I can't have my kid. I mean, they get together and they eat lunch. They've got 25 kids together eating lunch. Either I'm going to make them sick or they're going to make me sick. So he'd kept his kid out of school, which made me feel like maybe I should have. But we've got very small classes because we actually purposely put Baz into another school so that he'd have small classes and privilege and all. It's so nice to have the money to do that. But as I explained to Baz, I was like, you're going to public school next year because we can't afford to do anything else. Like it's not, the pandemic hit hard and, and private schools are expensive. And I still feel that a lot of it just comes down to if the kid's not inspired, it doesn't matter what school you send him to. So, not that Baz isn't inspired, but Baz will find his inspirations where he will. And I don't think he needs a private school to find those for him. I think he's a crazy, irritatingly smart kid, smarter than me. So that's why he beats me at Magic the Gathering all the time, but I will beat him eventually. All right. Me and Elsa are home from school. Oh, really? So you're stuck at home. So wait a second. So you're doing homeschool. You're doing homeschooling on purpose, or you've been locked down type thing. I've not. I have a couple of comic books of The Simpsons, Petter, but I never really got into it. No, I never liked. Maybe this says a lot about me. I never read funny comic books. Never read them. I never really got into Mad Magazine. I always preferred like the Spy versus Spy and all that kind of stuff. I much prefer. I like my science fiction. I like my comic books the way I like my science fiction. I want to be taken somewhere else. I want to, that's why I was surprised that I was so taken with Jeff Lemire's stuff with, with his books and things. All right. What else we got? Yeah, that's the same thing for Lord Zero. Same for me. I mean, my parents tried everything with me. They tried public, they tried private, they tried tutoring, they tried everything. And then the reality was the only connection I made was with acting. And that's the thing I ran with, and that's the thing that I worked hard at, and that's what got me where I got. Oh, old Get What Games. Have a few pennies for the banditos. Thank you very much. That's not pennies. Those are pounds, my friend. Those are British pounds. This is worth some serious. That's probably worth like over. I'm guessing that's worth like $10 here, buddy. Thank you so much, buddy. I don't know why I have to suddenly start talking so Canadian, eh? But thank you. School is boring, Jay Parrish. I see. This is what drives me crazy. Because yes, school is boring. School is boring for me. I hated school. I dropped out of school. I didn't finish school. And it's something that my son reminds me of all the time whenever I complain about his marks or whatever. The reality is, I think school really, really works for certain people. People who are motivated by the marks, who are motivated by that fear of, of not, progressing in the system. People who can sit down and actually listen and take things in. Traditionally smart people, I suppose. But I think for anyone who's sort of not neurotypical, which I would probably throw myself into, now I know I can throw myself into that because I have been diagnosed with ADHD. So I know that would have been a huge issue growing up for me. My hatred of school was complete. I loved after school. I loved before school. I loved hanging out with my friends at the beginning of school. And I loved hanging out with my friends at the end of school and lunch and that kind of stuff. That was the only thing I feel like I got out of it. I know that I did have good teachers. And I had dedicated teachers, and I had teachers who worked really hard, and I had some teachers who were just absolutely crap. And that didn't. What I used to think was that bad teachers were bad people, but the reality is there are just some bad teachers who just don't, for whatever reasons, it's not their. Maybe they're not going to. Again, you can't expect a person to be able to connect with every single person that they meet. Not everyone I meet is going to love me. Wait a second, what am I saying? What am I saying here? Of course they are. But normal people aren't loved by everybody. And some people just don't make connections, right? I mean, you just don't make connections with some teachers. You don't make connections with some subjects. Although I've discovered as I get older, just about anything, if you know enough about it, is fascinating. I spent a lot of time. Oh, wow, I just knocked over a board. I spent a lot of time yesterday looking at a centipede that I'd rescued from a bucket. So he got stuck in a bucket, and I put him under one of these little Petri dish things and was sort of like looking at it. And I way too long looking at that thing until I realized that if I made a mistake and I opened it by accident, I would have a giant centipede on my face. And then I let him out. I let him go because I've turned into a big suck on this stuff. I used to just kill them. And sometimes I'll admit there's sometimes if I'm truly shocked and it scares me, I've often just crushed them things. But spiders, I now see where they set up their webs, and sometimes I'll just even drop a fly in there for them. But if they start roaming too far afield and they start becoming too much a part of my world, then I take them outside and I'd say, go fly, be free, where they're probably eaten by birds instantly or something. But anyways, Selma loves school. Wait a sec, Selma, you hated school like a second ago. Didn't you say I hate school? Then you say I love school. D&W says that I homeschooled for most grades, finished 2 grades in 5 months, took a year off. Great for learning on your own terms. Teachers just a call away. DNW, I talked to my wife about this, about homeschooling. And I talked to Baz about it too. And Baz has said that he would like to be homeschooled, but Jane has a love for the institution of education because it worked for her. And she worked hard to get where she got with that. I mean, with her university degrees and she is a well-educated, smart, hardworking woman who happens to be really attractive too. So there's a value in that for her. For me, I see no value in it. I truly don't. Like I mean, not to disrespect the educational system, I have a tendency to throw everything out and then want to rebuild it from scratch, as I think I mentioned with my garage, or the bathroom that still needs to be redone. Like, look, I can't rebuild a bathroom. I'm not going to be able to rebuild a school system, but I do think that at the age specifically that I was when I actively got involved in acting, other than school plays and stuff, I was like 13, 14 years old. So I really feel like if there's anything I can do for kids in that 13 to 16 range that will find them a passion, which will find them what do they call it? The element. We'll find their element, find something that inspires them, that eases their learning, if that makes sense. Because there's nothing harder than trying to learn something you don't care about. I mean, In fact, you know what? I would argue that you don't even learn it. I mean, I think some people can force themselves into doing it. I couldn't. But if I can trick myself into being interested for some reason, it works every time. So biology was something that I never had any interest in. And looking back now, I go, what are you nuts? There's so many cool things. I mean, one of the things I'm working on right now, actually, is, I will share this with you, I'm trying to create I want to create a glove box, basically. So I've got a bunch of things that I would like to inoculate with mycelium, so the mushrooms, and I would like to inject that into, what the heck was that? $20, holy moly. William, oh my God, one of my chat lines seems to upset you the other day. Please accept my apology and sin offering to the secular congregation of Hewlett. What do you mean, William? What was the deal? William, you don't have to pay me for having a different opinion to me. You're welcome to have different opinions. I don't. Look, it's possible something you said set me off, but I never. I hope I don't want people to think that they're. Well, maybe I do. So if I argue with you, you better pay me. Look, thank you. That's really kind of you, and please don't feel like you have to. If we had a difference of opinion, then I think that's a good sign, because it means that we've had a civil discourse that doesn't need to end in name calling and stuff. So thank you. Okay, me still waiting to hear what you got to say about leadership. Elsa, you'll be waiting a long time. I found for me, I need someone to visually walk me through topics just sitting down with text versus just sitting down with text. Yeah, nowadays we have the most extraordinary thing available to us. It's called the internet, and it has videos, and it has live, workshops and stuff that we can use to learn stuff. I don't understand why the heck the school isn't using that stuff all the time. So this quick thing. So I've got a fan here, which is the only reason for this. It looks much more high tech than it is. This is just to suck the most horrible fumes out of here, which are these. I tried using this liquid cement stuff, and it's just, oh God, it's horrible, like airplane glue, basically. So I'm venting that out right now, and the irony being that it didn't stick at all, anyways. So, but I've got these giant gloves, and the gloves go into the. Can I do this? I have the worst. I can't do that. They go in the box. In the box, you can have. I'll have my 70% alcohol in here, so I can clean everything off. Have everything in there, clean it all off, and then start. What I want to do is basically, dissect a little bit of this of mushrooms. Take out the center, sterile, for want of a better word, but less messed up exterior part. So just the inside of this mushroom. Get that mycelium to start growing on an agar culture, which I have some agar here, so I'll be mixing up some agar for that. And then I inoculate the stuff with that. I inoculate the petri dish with that. It starts to grow, and then you can of course then have it inoculate all sorts of other things and have it fruit from that. So the mushrooms are basically just basically the fruit of the mycelium. But mycelium is this like crazy sci-fi stuff. I love, and that's just in case anyone doesn't know, that's my bio bench. And of course you got to have a little Breaking Bad in there, because if you're doing bio, it's always nice to have like a bit of an edge to it, right? So yeah, setting up a space for that. So are you on Tech Talk tomorrow? Of course, Miss Liz. Would not miss it for the world. In fact, I don't think I'm allowed to miss it tomorrow. Am I, Miss Liz? I think isn't Ox has to do stuff or something at the same time. So everyone say hi to Miss Liz, who's fabulous as well. Miss Liz is everywhere. Miss Liz, I think, might actually be the internet in the same way that the TARDIS has like an entity that seems to live in it now. I wasn't so sure about that. Miss Liz is like the internet. There you go. Miss Liz, and Cal's the same. Cal's pretty much everywhere as well. Hey, Ari Berman, who we're going to talk to on Monday. Not we, but I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to catch up with Ari on Monday, because it's been a while since we chatted. But fascinating guy, talking about bio and stuff. You're probably laughing at my glove box. Him and Jim the Evil are probably like cackling at how sad my little glove box is. But I want to do something cheap, and I want to do something quick. I wanted to use the box that didn't have a lid because I don't want to wreck a perfectly good plastic storage box. So I'm trying this plastic sheet and see if that's going to work. Because if it does, I mean, it's easy to do. And in a way, I suppose you could just do it in a plastic bag, couldn't you? I guess it'd be getting, it'd be difficult. You'd have to sort of create a little tent. You could put, I could take a plastic bag, put a little frame in it, and then go in that way. That could work, potentially. Dude, bio is all about does it work or not? Well, there you go. So that's it. Elegance is secondary. Oh, good. Because elegance is always secondary for me, Ari. Always secondary. Neil Gaiman wrote that episode with Idris, the TARDIS lady. It's one of my favorite episodes. I love the concept of it. The living ship, if that makes sense. There's an amazing series called what's it called? There's an amazing series about living spaceships that fascinated me. And it came out strangely. It came out just after I'd written, not just after, but I had written this story that became a film that we won't talk about. And the whole idea was this sort of like an organic vessel. And that was totally inspired by Doctor Who. Originally, the one that I think of, I believe, was the Green Death. I think it was the Green Death. Was it that, or was it the Autons? I can't remember. There was a living ship, and I think it was the Green Death with John Pertwee. And I was fascinated by the idea that there was a spaceship that was alive, and that was the first time I'd ever heard of that. And I worry. I guess I worry when it gets too fantasy, science fiction. I prefer the science of science fiction. I don't so much love the fantasy part of it. Did we ever decide what we were worried about, William? Yes, exactly, Xenos. That's the one. Lex had it too. Would I send you my signature if you send me an address on a Facebook page? Peter, I sort of stopped doing that. I'll tell you why. Because I felt like the amount of time that I spent sending things to people was time away from this kind of thing. And I'm so disorganized. I'm so disjointed in my schedule as it is anyways, whether it's because of my brain or because of my work. And I worry about the logistics of getting photos, signing photos, mailing photos. I did it for a little while, and it just became overwhelming. And I felt like, you know what? This is time that this is your autograph. I mean, in a way, like I would rather talk to people and have a back and forth like this than the signing stuff we can do at, conventions or whatever. If people see me, I'm more than happy to sign stuff. Always. I'm not going to, I don't charge people. I don't like, for in the real world is you want me to sign something, I sign something, Conventions is a whole other mechanic to that, which I understand and I don't understand, which I love and I hate. And, I don't think I'm going to be doing many more conventions in the near future anyways, because the idea of icky germs right now is just way too much for me. Unless I show up in my glove box. That's possible. I can just show up in my big plastic glove box. Maybe that'll do it. All right. I think what you're doing with Tech Bandits is way more important. Yeah, I mean, it's not one or the other. But John, you could totally send me your autograph. That'd be amazing. Yeah, look, I love getting stuff. It's fantastic, and I love letters, and I used to get a lot of fan mail, and a lot of it got lost, to be honest, because a lot of it got lost in moves or agents and managers and production offices and all that kind of stuff. So I was, in fact, I got really pissed off once because someone had been getting the fan mail from me, and then cutting out all the cool stamps. So I'd get my mail, and someone would have cut out at the production office. Had cut out all of the and I was like, excuse me, if anyone's getting the freaking stamps, it's me. And I was so angry about that too. I was like, who the hell opens someone else's mail and takes their stamps? I made a sort of conscious decision. After my fantastic father-in-law, who's no longer with us, I'm afraid, spent a long time going through and organizing fan mail for me, and so I could send stuff off and things. I feel like this is a better way to give back, if that makes sense. It's also selfish because these burn and learns are entirely about me. I want to guilt myself into doing doing exercise. And in fact, I think it's also become a point. I think it's become more than that now. I think I'm sort of almost addicted to this too. I love the little sort of dopamine hit of going live and talking to people and what's going to happen, that kind of stuff. So, and also I get to drink my coffee. So, and people stay away from me in the house because they're scared of being on like streaming with me. But not to be a dick about it, but I make exceptions all the time for that kind of stuff. But the process of getting a photo, finding something to put it in, signing it, taking it to a mailbox. Well, no, because I can't. I take it to the post office to make sure that it weighs the right thing and all that kind of stuff. It's inefficient. I'd love to do digital signature things. Like, can we do NFTs? Can we do non-fungible token online autographs? That I'd be happy to do that, where I could sign something. It's got a code on it, which means it's the only one that there is. And then you get a digital version of it. But oh my God, with the paper and the posting and the planes and the driving and it just seems crazy. So far, so good. Terabyte Killer, the snow missed us. Thanks. Oh, you almost got snow? Oh my God. Imperator question. What? What do we got? Imperador. We can't ignore Imperadors here. We got a little bit of a violation of postal laws. Is it, Tammy? Is that true? Okay, I'm looking for an Imperador. Imperador! You got another question. Is happiness just chemicals circulating through our bodies, or is it something in our souls? Well, Imperador, that's actually two questions. First off, I would say we don't have souls. I know that may not be a popular belief, but I don't believe in the soul. I think that is a construct that our brain has sort of come up with to try to figure things out. I would say chemicals. Yeah, I think that. It's an extraordinarily uncomfortable thing to believe, if that makes sense. Because you start going like, wait a second. So depending on what I eat, depending on what I put in this machine, will result in a different me. And I think people like to think of themselves as this cohesive whole, as this unchanging person. Like, you can change your opinions, you can change your appearance and stuff, but I don't believe, whoa, Adamio, holy moly. I feel like broadcasting live gives it a more personal feel, since it's always going to be different every day, whether intended or not. Adamio, thank you so much. That's incredibly generous of you. I should remind everybody that this is not going to me. This is going to Tech Bandits, this money. Although I say that will also include some Magic the Gathering cards and Lego figures, just to be very, very, very clear. In fact, hey, Ironham, should we open another Lego figure? We should really, shouldn't we? If we don't have souls, then who sold my cat's soul to the devil? There you go. Spoken like a true scientist, Jim the Evo. Jim, by the way, James R. Gurney on Twitch. Go follow him. Fantastic. Dungeon Science. And what else was it? Dungeon Science and Voice Master extraordinaire. Dr. Dungeon Master as well. Jesus, man, that the list of credits is just going on and on. Aren't you supposed to be working, James? I thought you were like, aren't you like insanely busy amounts of stuff? How do I explain paranormal activity, the kind that can't be debunked? Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. I feel like it's just something we don't understand yet. I mean, look, there may be a whole other area of physics. There may be a whole new type of physics that we have to work out now. Like, they've discovered things in the collider now that aren't doing what they're supposed to do, that defy the existing rules of physics, even the quantum physics stuff. So they are now going to have to, it's possible that within the next 5-10 years, we got a whole new perspective on stuff, because it's going to be a new form of physics. Like, this is exciting stuff. But it's, again, will all seem magical to anybody who doesn't understand it. And that's us. I mean, I think there's always going to be things that we can't explain, that we need to, because we don't have enough information. It's just going to increase. The more we know, the more technology improves, the closer we get to understanding everything. But I don't believe we will ever get to the point that we understand everything. I would love to believe in souls. I would love to believe that when I die, I will be up there with my grandfather and my fabulous old mutt Mars, and I would love to believe that stuff. But I don't. I believe we are physical beings in the same way that everything else that lives on this planet is, and we don't understand what that spark is yet. I have a very, very hard time with religion because I just don't understand how you can make that jump of faith. I would love to be able to. God, I would love to be able to. Are you kidding me? It would be the best thing in the world, in my mind, if I could just, if not just, because I'm not saying that the Christian life is a particularly easy one, but Christian or whatever for that matter. I mean, I say Christianity because that's what I was raised to be a Christian. No one is born Christian or born Muslim or born anything for that matter. I mean, you are raised to be whatever that religion is through whatever brainwashing is involved, whether it's education or the home life or whatever. I know there are people who discover religion on their own, but again, most of those discoveries, to me, in my mind, are effects of the mind. I mean, they've done studies that talk about mycelium, that there are certain types of mycelium. And potentially some or is it gut bacteria? No, I think it may be gut bacteria. There's a certain type of gut bacteria that can make you more religious or more prone to religious thoughts. So really long-winded way of getting back to Imperador's question is I do believe we are a bag of chemicals. I really feel that. And at the same time, I have an awful lot of sort of Judeo-Christian baggage that from my raising, my nurturing, and my education because I went to a religious school. I mean, they wouldn't call it that, but it had a saint in front of it, and it had church and choir every freaking day, and hymns and religious knowledge that focused on everyone else going to hell except the people who studied Christianity. I mean, like it's ridiculous when I look back on it, but it was a different era. But anyways, honor the Ori, exactly. I was expecting it to snow again. Yes, we are our own bioships. I think I love that. We are our own bioships. Wow, that is I really like that. Yeah, we're bioships of our. Yeah, I mean and we're not even. I'm not even sure that we're in control. I mean, this is the funny thing. Is you start going like, what if we're like those wonderful fungus that take over animals or toxoplasmosis and whatever that makes you like cats, because that's the only way people should like cats. What about that? Like, I mean, what if we really are? What if we're bioships for something else? I mean, we're a collection of different things. We got a gut full of bacteria. I mean, maybe they're pulling the levers. It's interesting stuff. Johnny Winter. Oh my God! Thank you very much, Johnny Winter, for the kids. Soul, no, a unique electric and biochemical makeup. Yes, yeah. That doesn't make us. That's you know what, Johnny? Not only thank you for the DKKs, but for the for that. That is a really good point. It doesn't make us any less unique. To me, it doesn't make us any less wonderful or any less, spectacular on a religious level, for that matter. The intricacies of biology have blown my mind. Like I just, it's sort of my new favorite thing now because I loved electronics. I still love electronics. I mean, what we can do with electronics are extraordinary, and I love robotics. But all of a sudden, like, I did this. I mean, I know James Gurney's been trying to get me into this for years, but I finally sat down with this lecture series on biology, and I understand why people look for God in that and find it in some cases, because the extraordinary sort of coincidences, from our perspective, when we look at this stuff, can be overwhelming at times. The complexity, the beauty of this stuff, I think, can lead people to the divine. It hasn't led me to the divine, but I understand how it could. But I do think, if you're operating from the perspective that you are Lord Zero, thank you, Lord Zero. I appreciate it very much. That's fantastic. Gorilla Danish. What do you, Gorilla Danish is here to stir things up. What do you got? Anyway, just wanted to pop in, say good morning. I have a ton of preparation to get done for Passover. Oh, of course, yes, good luck. You've got, is it Seder's tonight? Is it Seder's Friday? So Seder tonight. I think you got Seder's tonight, right? And more likely to find math in nature than a deity. Baz was mentioning something really cool the other day. We were on our dog walk, and he was talking about he was doing math in science, and I was like, what? I never got to that. I never got to that level of science in school. So I was like, what were you looking at? Because you never know. And he was saying that he was doing math that basically predicted what physics was going to do. So the idea of first off putting numbers to force and then taking those numbers and seeing how efficient they were. So you would so basically looking at the efficiency of a physical action. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the coolest thing ever. So you can write on a piece of paper you write down, what force is required to do. You weigh things and you write things down. And then I started saying to Baz, that's what I find one of the most exciting parts of this is that you write something down on paper and then you go and do it in the real world and you've predicted it. You've predicted the future. That, I literally get shivers. It's possible I've got hypothermia because I've been very sweaty and I'm cold down here. But I get shivers down my back about that. The idea that there is a pure language that we have somehow created or discovered. I mean, that's an interesting question right there. Did we create math or did we discover math? That allows us to model the world so perfectly that we can predict what's going to happen. I mean, it's amazing. I should just quickly mention that the learn part of my burn and learn today was multi-pronged. One was I wanted to know about this electro-cryo something microscope, microscopy. Yeah, basically the latest version of the electron microscope that allows us to look at biological materials because the electrons were originally the radiation was just would destroy many of the biological things we want to look at, or we were only able to look at them in a kind of a blurry way. I mean, there's a little joke in there that they said that originally they were called blobologists because they could only examine a blobby looking badly photographed image of the things that they wanted, like proteins and ribosomes and that kind of stuff. They couldn't model them very well. So what terabyte killer would you lost them on what? We create or discover maths. Yeah, and it's neat, isn't it? Okay, so point being, so I really wanted to find out how they'd improved this, and I talked about this with Ari and with James Gurney as well, who'd explained it very, very, very well to me. But I wanted to see it. I find it hard to. It's a bit like Randy the Magic Man talking about trying to link things in your memory to sort of. To images that you can't forget. So I love watching tutorials on this stuff as well. So I saw a professor talking about it, and then some various videos on how it was actually done. But the idea that we are now able to, we freeze these tiny slivers of biological material, proteins and stuff in a tiny. It's almost like a little net. But they freeze it so fast in liquid propane or something that it doesn't have time to crystallize. It just frozen solid, bang, that's it. And you get this beautiful little thin, microscopically thin sheet of glass that houses these biological things. And then what that allows you to do is fire these. I think it's electrons. It's still using electrons, I believe. They fire these electrons, and the advantage of electrons over light is because light at some point diffuses too much when it hits little things, right? So that old thing where you've got a card and you put a slit in it and you fire a beam of light at it, and you're like, it should just be, if it's a wave, then it will look one way. If it's a particle, it'll look another. Like a particle should only hit that one little bit in the middle, but waves should do that, and we do both. We see both when we do that, which launches the whole quantum mechanics and all this kind of stuff. But the idea being is that when you fire these light beams at the things you want to magnify, they diffuse so much that we can't then focus them back into a nice clear image. So you don't get these very blurry images. So they tried different lights, like blue light didn't diffuse quite so much. And then someone goes like, electrons, let's use electrons. Because if you fire electrons through that thing, you get the same thing. You get a concentration of electrons in the middle, and then you get this sort of diffused electrons to either side. But it's a much narrower and much easier to focus diffusion of this stuff. So because what we're looking at is so small that the waves of light are bigger than the very things that we're looking at. So we fire electrons instead. And because these materials are frozen, they're not completely destroyed by the radiation and the electrons hitting these things. They're not maybe I shouldn't say they're not. Maybe they're not as quickly. I mean, Ari or James could speak to this better, but it's like they're not so quickly destroyed by it. So we can then take these beautiful learning neural networks and things to take everything that they've got in this little piece of glass, all these different ribosomes in different positions and stuff, and then digitally put them all digitally. Would that be right? And then mathematically, perhaps, put them all together into a single model so we can see this incredible detail of these things. And that has led to this massive jump in biological imaging stuff of the very, very small. The other thing we used to do is like you literally poke it with like a needle, like this tiny little atom sharp needle. Is that the tunneling microscope? I think it's the electron tunneling microscope, which is basically using you're trying to find, you can't find what you want to look at. So what it does is it's quantum mechanics really, where these every so often an electron will jump between these 2 points, between the point of this tip and the material that you're trying to look at. And the higher the higher the jumps, the closer you are to whatever it is you want to look at. So just a bunch of stuff came up. It's just extraordinary. But the basic idea being that, instead of this massive diffusion that doesn't allow us to focus on our image, we've now narrowed that down, and through this cryogenics, I guess that's called, rapid freezing, we can now look at these things, and it's just, oh man. So I was watching that. I was also watching, I don't know their name now, and can I look it up? I don't have something else to look it up on. I'll have to tweet about it later, but it's something that Widow Web let me know about, and it's a science stream on Twitch that I think we should start checking out, because it's really fun. They're putting together like a science show on Twitch, and they were talking about esports and versus like real sports, and they were also talking about brain controlled. There's brain control, but basically using an EEG to measure brain activity while you're gaming, which is just kind of neat. Like, can you measure stress while you're gaming? What can you pick up basically with an EEG while you're gaming? So something else we can play with. In fact, that might be something we can play with, because I have a nice little OpenBCI brain computer interface as well. So I am totally babbling on. My son is upstairs. We've got Magic the Gathering cards to open up. So I should get out of here. But look, thank you all. Holy cow. Oh my God. It's like, is that just today? I was like, wow. So today's stream has brought in $109. Wow. Thank you very much. That's extraordinary. I really appreciate that. Should I be streaming on YouTube more? Like Baz was saying this the other day, he's saying like there's actually more people generally on YouTube than there is on Twitch, but I like the Twitch platform because that's what the kids like. Even if the numbers are less, I feel like it's sort of more a part of what they do. But that's interesting. I've sent a continuous message into the future using iPad and iPhone. I got an echo effect. I have a theory that the message was echoing, the data was going backwards in time. Well, you work that out because you got me on that one. I've downloaded Twitch now. Oh, you have, Elsa? Oh, good. Well, so Elsa, you can join us then. I mean, that's good. He talks so fast yet so clear. I don't know about that, Miss Liz. Have more live. Yeah, I got to do some more live. I mean, I could hop on Twitch later today, maybe. I feel bad because I don't get a lot of the only chatting I do now is on the Burn Alerns, and I used to do them on Twitch. So I feel bad for the Twitch people who've subscribed and aren't getting the Hewlett chat, because I'd hate for them to miss any of this genius. All right, get out of here. Be safe, be kind, be brilliant, and until we geek again, I will say cheerio and huzzah, because I have a huzzah.